We welcome you on a rainy day to Concacaf Nations League. It is the play-in between the Cayman Islands and Guadeloupe. Welcome to Georgetown in Grand Cayman and the Truman Bodden Stadium. It is the first of two legs between these two sides. Begins today, concludes November the 19th. Windy and rainy throughout the day. The temperatures a balmy 83 degrees as we approach kickoff this afternoon for the first of this two-legged tie. Guadeloupe will be hosting the second leg coming out of League A. Out of League C, the Cayman Islands, with a draw and a loss to St. Kitts and Nevis, seeing them into second place, but tight wins over the British Virgin Islands, providing them the status of best runner-up. Conversely, for Guadeloupe, 4 games in Nations League A. They did manage results against Suriname and a draw against Martinique, but the loss to Martinique, and moreover the 3-0 defeat at the hands of the Ticos of Costa Rica, their ultimate undoing. So we begin what is a fascinating week of football in CONCACAF. To reach the CONCACAF Gold Cup prelims is to offer your country a remarkable opportunity and a story that can be told for quite a long time. Many of the countries that are featuring in this 5-day mini tournament have in effect never been to Gold Cup proper, much less the prelims. In the case of the Cayman Islands, they have a chance to make absolute history just a mere 5 months after their first ever World Cup qualifying victory over Antigua and Barbuda in June. They take on a Guadeloupe side that have been there and done that on the senior international level, reaching the Gold Cup previously. It is going to be a very difficult path for them to find their way through. 2 of the 4 play-in matchups have already begun. St. Kitts and Nevis and Belize give the Cayman Islands plenty of reason to believe. After all, the 2 sides from League C both managed victories in the opening leg of their 2-game ties last night. Barbados and Guyana will play later this evening. Will Guadeloupe be able to escape the fate of Cuba and French Guiana, who both lost on the road, but both gained significant value through the away goal that each garnered in 2-1 defeats? The teams halted before making their way onto the field. You can see on the track the amount of rain that has poured down over the last few hours here in Georgetown. And this respite as they wait has to be so frustrating with all the butterflies that you'd imagine these footballers are feeling in this moment. The best 5th place team, Guadeloupe, taking on the best group runner-up of League C in the Cayman Islands. In this 2-legged affair, which begins today and concludes in 4 days' time in Guadeloupe. See from the umbrella in the background, it has been a very rainy day, one that's left the fans brave enough to survive the elements, seeking refuge in the main grandstand. The very same fans that in June stormed the field following a World Cup qualifying win for the first time in Cayman Islands footballing history. They come. It is 4 Mexican officials that will oversee this match. 4th, Karen Hernandez, Leonardo Castillo, and Michael Espinosa working the lines. Adonai Escobedo of Mexico will oversee the match. The Guada boys are aware in this 2-legged tie that away goals carry that little additional value until extra time if necessary in the second leg. So coming away with something here, anything, even if it is a defeat as suffered by St. Kitts and Nevis and Belize, the hands of Cuba and French Guiana respectively, will be valuable. They line up, we'll hear the national anthems, we'll meet the lineups, and kickoff is imminent in Georgetown. It is the Cayman Islands taking on Guadeloupe in the Concacaf Nations League play-in.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2024 Concacaf Nations League. Concacaf welcomes all fans of international football to today's match. The match will feature the Cayman Islands and Guadeloupe.
Nations League anthem veers its course back over the loudspeakers. The officials meet with the 22 initial combatants, of which one has changed in the past half hour as warm-ups concluded. An injury for the Cayman Islands to tell you about in a moment. Who could best the other? Maybe more importantly, who could best the conditions? There was a change. It is in midfield. Sebastian Martinez move into the starting 11. Zachary Scott was initially named a starter for this match, and Joey Japp having to make an adjustment following a warm-up injury. He is no longer available for selection for this game. Notably, the goal scorer in the June World Cup qualifier, the late game winner, Joshua Campbell, not named in the team. Those are the officials. They all hail from Mexico. Adonai Escobedo is the referee for this affair. The Guada boys break their huddle. Goalkeeper for the Cayman Islands, Lachlan Lambert. alongside Anthony Barron. A mix of domestic and players from over and players in the United Kingdom for the Cayman Islands. Guadeloupe, almost entirely made up of players that feature in Europe. Here is a look at the starting lineup for Guadeloupe. Truman and Feton will operate off the left-hand side. Mirval will join in a two-front. Captain of the side, Barron, is the center back for this group. Defending Bryce Colnard. KG 2-1 affairs thus far in the play-in round. Perhaps a wet afternoon in Georgetown begs a different result. Underway in the play-in of the Concacaf Nations League, the Cayman Islands take on Guadeloupe for the first of two meetings in 5 days. A very pleasant good afternoon wherever you might be. This CONCACAF Nations play-in offers an immense opportunity to countries that for so long could only dream of reaching the CONCACAF Gold Cup, much less its preliminary stage. That is precisely what's offered to each of these teams here today and over the course of this week. Casimir. Decent ball dragging Feton into the width. Clipped in behind and finding it Lambert, arriving off his line. Cayman Islands, FIFA's 194th ranked team, finished 2 wins, a loss, and a draw in the most recent Nations League campaign, but by goal difference, enough to be the runners-up in Nations League C. Best runner-up of the 3 groups, joining the 3 group winners. Conversely, the remaining play-in slots given to teams 5th or 6th in Nations League A. Completely different format there, one which sees 12 teams divided into merely 2 groups. So Guadeloupe, as the best 5th place finisher, in theory, drawing the simplest opponent, the side that failed to win their group. Of course, it is so often, while pots provide some measure of equity, bit of a crapshoot as to how these groups are actually drawn. This Cayman Island side showed tremendous grit. A draw against St. Kitts and Nevis, who ultimately won that group. And very workmanlike victories over the British Virgin Islands. Main off the turn. Listed a forward, appears drop into a more attacking role in midfield at the moment. Barron, who captains the side. Feton down the line. This eked out by Campbell, who signed over the summer in Northern Ireland at Newington. Ange Plumain. Appears there's a bird in the penalty area. Something to keep in mind. This away from Zoran. Saint-Ville. Spinning and weaving till crossing. Nerval was waiting. Couldn't totally corral it. Still it's on here, Phaeton. Tight angle, cut back. Veers high. Cleared to halfway. Lena. Truman. Saint-Ville. Pitchforked along. Rowe got a touch, who captains the Cayman side. And an injury, that's Elijah Seymour. With a number of players around the side at Newington. Kind of day you hope that you've got a second kit in your locker. It's going to be a horrifically rainy day throughout. Barron working the give and go, angles backward, swerving, Phaeton. Bobbled and maintained by Lambert. The applause of the local Cayman crowd in Georgetown. Guadeloupe controlling the early proceedings here in Georgetown. Lofted into space. Ball hit from distance. Bobbled in again. Lambert is on it. Ball played through. Circulated back now. And hit from range. Lambert the save, the follow-up hammered in. Mirval, but no. The whistle's blown, it will not count. Lofted out to the halfway line. Again, contact on Seymour. Settled by Conard. Dicing through midfield out of the reach of Truman. Clever turn. Souberon goes down. Guadeloupe is part of a overseas department of France, and as a result, no World Cup qualifying for them. Put in play by the Cayman Islands. Had a brief respite for them. As quickly as they've gotten it, they've given it back to Mirval. Scoreless 10 minutes complete in this play-in match. Barron. Cash Till. Skew from Campbell. Le Bournier. The man drew the foul. Run the free kick conceded. Ananaya Escobedo sets the ground rules. Anthony Barron. Playing for the Swiss side, Servette. Across the 30 cap plateau. Barron, the 31-year-old, sends this in front. Beautiful ball. Even better finish. Mirval offers the opening goal for Guadeloupe. What a tremendous goal for the Guadeloupe. And in the pouring rain in Georgetown, Guadeloupe get the away goal that they so desperately dreamed of. The first leg of this play-in tie. Phenomenal goal. Rafael Mirval. One nothing, the 10th international goal for Mirval. Player who spent time in Guadeloupe before departing the Italian 4th Division. Has since returned to Guadeloupe. Free kick for the Cayman Islands. So to leave with the advantage, they need at least a goal, the Cayman Islands. And the second leg in Guadeloupe, by nature of the away goal margin, the chance at a clean sheet, and with it, the opportunity to dictate the terms in the second leg have evaporated. Goal here, they would still trail going into the second leg. Service from Souberon. Guadeloupe has been at the Gold Cup 5 times now. Reached the semifinals, a dream run in 2007. The quarterfinals in the following tournament in 2009. Their last 3 appearances sandwiched over the last 14 years by a 2011 group stage exit. Group stage exits in 2021 and 2023. Seen them happy to qualify. This from a long way out will not test a Lambert. Did win a game, however, for the first time in 14 years at the Gold Cup in 2023. Still a group stage exit, but a 1-1-1 record. Their victory over Cuba finished without any points. Ultimately lost out to Canada by a singular point. They drew the Canadians. Ultimately unable to pass Canada, nor Guatemala for that matter, to advance to the knockout stage. They're the #1 team to fail to qualify for the quarterfinal round. Ultimately, Cuba did them no favors on the last day. And they did hold leads twice over against Guatemala, but made neither of them stick. Fell 3-2. Ball lobbed across, a header back into the face of goal from Feton. And Lambert distributes quickly, but inaccurately, perhaps. It's a free kick won by Martinez. Change of equipment. I wonder what the fourth official, Karen Hernandez, thinks about that. She doesn't seem sold. New ball, nevertheless. Sliding challenge from Mirval. That's the anger of Jordan Bonilla Ramirez. After all, the Guada boys were in Nations League A and Nations League B over the last 3 cycles. Angling in behind and sneaking this through the wickets of Lambert, but out. Danger from Vikash Till. Something of nothing for Guadeloupe. Driven wide from Feton. Plumain. Feton arriving. Angles back. Maybe something here for Plumain. circulates out. Barron overtaken by Subaran. Twelve teams took part in the Concacaf Gold Cup prelims in 2023. Ultimately, only 3 advancing out of that hectic 5-day stretch in Fort Lauderdale. It was Martinique, Guadeloupe, and St. Kitts and Nevis, who advanced over Puerto Rico, Guyana, and French Guiana, respectively. Guadeloupe had to win 2 matches, a 5-0 blowout win over Antigua and Barbuda, followed by the 2-0 win over Guyana to reach the group stage, and quite nearly got out of the group, as illustrated previous. That Gold Cup. Senville. With great speed into the penalty area, Plumain. Phaeton. Swept aside. Still couldn't do much with it. And so Guadeloupe will recoagulate. Notably, Guadeloupe did not travel a full bench for this game, and Cayman Islands don't get the benefit of a full bench now due to the injury to Zachary Scott pregame either. Only 1 reserve goalkeeper and 1 light among field players for Guadeloupe this game. Both these sides trying to earn a trip to the prelims. Be one of the all-time high points for the Cayman Islands in an attempt at a return to glory for Guadeloupe. Phaeton, that slide was outside the penalty area. And Nunez shown a yellow card.
Number 9, yellow card for number 9 for the Cayman Islands.
Well, this is the second time I've heard this already in the Nations League play-in. Leave it to the commentator to attempt the names. Public address announcers are fine sticking the numbers. If only a blessing and a curse. It is a free kick for Ange Plumain. Been featuring in the Ukrainian Premiership. On Freddie Plumain over the ball. Plumain curling above the bar. Well, I don't know quite how accurate he is, but clearly can put a tremendous amount of English on it. He's got the right ideas. Guadeloupe, the vast control of this game thus far. If you were the Cayman Islands hoping that you could get to better conditions in Guadeloupe next week on level terms and try and steal the road goal, much of that strategy has already been usurped by Guadeloupe's opener. At some point, they'll need to try and take a measure of control in this. This a long way from Le Borgne. It should be a rainy day for the second leg of this affair as well on the 19th. No respite. Naval in the 12th minute. The lone goal to this point. Barron. Saint-Ville, who's inverted further, allowing Phaeton to provide width. Phaeton, a long dragging run. This does just slither by. Ball cut through, knocked down by Lambert. Numbers are good here for Guadeloupe. The Cayman Islands weren't able to get enough flying forward nearly fast enough to make for a counter. Swarming green shirts repel the Cayman Islands for the moment. Ball across the face and held by Conard, usurping the run of Nunez. Finally for the Cayman Islands, something, even a 30-yard ball into a 1v1 scenario that the goalkeeper could easily smother. Nevertheless, positive news. Campbell shrugs off the challenge. Seymour is finally right side up. Well, twice in the opening 20 minutes. And with this stalemate, a stoppage. Apparently need for another new ball.
Yeah, what's the score? 1-0 to us? Oh no, they're good.
They are good. Side from Guadeloupe is owned the occasion. Happy to have a co-commentator in the stands. This game emanating from Georgetown at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex in Grand Cayman. 1-0 to Guadeloupe past the half-hour mark. Rafael Mirval in the 12th minute of play. Nunez off of Senville. Still work to be done. Rowe. Signs of life from the Caymans. Plumain. Phaeton. Plumain. Spinning free. Subaran. Phaeton. That is a very wayward effort. Over ambitious. 32nd minute. It's been an odd day. The amount of rain, the exchanging balls twice over. Knocked away from Phaeton. The chicken that was wandering the penalty area. Now this is Nations League. Senville. It has been quite obvious. Guadeloupe showing their class. They have finished 5th in League A. Still, in theory, puts them some 20 slots higher in the Concacaf pecking order, and they've shown why. The Cayman Islands have largely rebuked Guadeloupe's advances throughout. Under pressure again, Barron. With the reach of Till.
Guys,
60% of the ball belonging to Guadeloupe at this still early stage. Phaeton played through, but well beyond Junior Senville. Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, the issues that they're having with the balls. 85 degrees. It's not that it's too hot, too cold relative to just about any other Nations League game we've seen this year. I actually think there's an element of user error involved. Cayman Islands team that's not that far removed from a near decade without victory. Jay Chapp now in his first year as the manager of this group, taking over, or manager that had overturned all that pew. Helped to turn around what was a pretty dismissive state for the Cayman Islands. Conard and Guadeloupe held all the control. An awkward touch in the back that Guadeloupe is more than able to handle. Phaeton. Clever passes open this up. Found Phaeton again. Angle tightening. Sought the cross. Barron. The return brought down. Gap closed by Subaran. The field has done a remarkable job of taking hours and hours of rain now. Mirval. Hit from range. Excellent goal. Le Bornier doubles the Guadeloupe advantage. That is a gorgeous finish for the Guada boys. 2-0. 2 road goals. And Guadeloupe have their eyes on a return to the Gold Cup prelims. That is a delightful finish from Jordan Le Bornier. Playing in the French League 2. The 29-year-old was born in Guadeloupe, spent his most formative years in France, including a 3-year stint that just concluded at Versailles. Guadeloupe trying to throw the gas down now. Phaeton slips ahead. Le Bornier there again. Oh, slipped away from Till. Deflected. Conard again taking more time than he had. These are not the conditions to toy with as a goalkeeper. Especially when the Cayman Islands have been half-hearted in their pressure for the vast majority of this game. Dissecting through midfield, Guadeloupe angle into the final third. Alexander, the strong effort, unable to dispossess Zoran. That second goal for Guadeloupe, so important. It's what the two previous road teams that played last night in the play-in failed to accomplish. Means you can make a mistake in the second leg and not lose the high ground as it pertains to away goals. So while the Cayman Islands will likely have to give everything to try and score at least two, potentially even more than that, Guadeloupe is going to feel quite confident, regardless of the score, that they can hold on to an away goal advantage. It's the tie break at the end of this tie if necessary. Free kick for Guadeloupe. Header smashed back down and played in by Truman. Guadeloupe up by 3 before halftime. Flexing their muscles, Guadeloupe against the Cayman Islands. And this magnificent story in Georgetown may come up short of its ultimate goal. No closer to getting one back before halftime. Nunez by his lonesome, but it is a corner. First time the Cayman Islands have conceded 3 goals since the September 7th Nations League game against St. Kitts and Nevis, a 4-1 loss here in Georgetown. Fell 4-0 against Moldova in a friendly in March. Fell 5-1 the previous edition of Nations League. This ball knocked down in front of goal and ultimately ripped over the bar by Nunez. Good initial save by Bryce Conard. Retains the 3-goal advantage. Subaran putting that in a difficult position to defend. The second matchup between these teams, and Guadeloupe won the initial encounter 7-1. It was in Caribbean Cup qualifying for the 09 Gold Cup back in October of 2008. Theory, the side should be much closer by now, but Guadeloupe putting up a familiar level of scoring short of halftime. Mirval in the 12th, Le Borgne in the 37th, Plumaine in the 41st. Guadeloupe 3-0 ahead. This Cayman side is precisely 500, 7 wins, 7 losses, 4 draws, without ever leaving Nations League C in their history. Guadeloupe, on the other hand, is more often than not dominated lower-end competition in Nations League. 13 wins, 6 losses, and a singular draw. They've outscored their opposition 42-14 over the 4 editions of Nations League. And Mirval bagging his 8th career Nations League goal, which is most all time for Guadeloupe. That was the initial marker. Peyton. Into first half stoppage time. Imagine a couple of minutes. The occasional equipment issues combined with the trio of goals. Just away by Seymour. It'd be easy to despair if you're the Cayman Islands at this point. Alas, 3 road goals for Guadeloupe is nearing the nightmare scenario. However, we're still only a quarter of the way through the tie. You can find a way to a couple of goals in the second half. It'll look a lot less daunting to Guadeloupe early next week. But conceding any further, probably a death blow. The hopes of reaching the Concacaf Gold Cup prelims. It's DeAndre Rowe. Played alongside Dominic Owens. Laces through. Yeah, surely that hit off Alexander. And it did. We've gone 2 minutes. Referee puts the whistle to his mouth. And that is halftime. Well, what a start for Guadeloupe. 3 first half goals. Mirval in the 12th. And then 2 in quick succession. Labornier and Plumain in a 5-minute span, putting the Cayman Islands to the sword in this opening leg in the CONCACAF Nations League play-in. The Cayman Islands will need to climb about as tall a mountain as anyone has in this competition now, but still just a quarter of the way through the tie. Halftime in Georgetown. Guadeloupe 3, Cayman Islands 0.
Right, I know, exactly. On a Friday night, I'm very much looking forward to exactly that. That sounds perfect, actually. Yesterday we were in Little Cayman, we actually got stranded for a day. We had the 4 p.m. flight out, and it's exactly started doing this, and they just didn't, they're like, we're not doing it.
I hope it finishes.
Yes, oh yeah. I mean, it's not lightning or anything, so... Yeah, good. Boys are playing football all the time. Okay, awesome.
I said John.
7-year-old. Yeah, both boys. Oh my God, they're exhausted all the time. But yeah, they play well together, but they also fight well together. That's what I hear. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, then I'll see you later. Just so you know, they're gonna do like a post-game presser.
I can stay for it.
Just to let you know. Yeah. Gotcha.
I think I might be Robin for
That's fine. Yeah. Cool.
Concacaf Nations League play-in. Guadeloupe away to the Cayman Islands. The crowd just went nuts in the stands. Sunshine for a brief moment. Amidst what's been a constant rain. Approach the second half here. The fourth official moving to midfield alongside Wesley Robinson. Appears change is afoot for the Cayman Islands. Tibbetts as well.
I've been number 14 twice. I've been number 2 and I've been number 14 twice. Number 10 and number 2. We're number 14.
Unclear what the holdup is.
What was I in Trinidad?
No subs in.
Yeah.
Notably, Zach Scott was injured in pregame warmups. He does not count as a substitute, but he is not eligible off the bench either. Replaced by Sebastian Martinez. All right, after much ado, Robinson in, Kobe Tugman out,
That's so good.
Matthew Suburan out, and Barry Dre Tibbetts on. Whatever respite existed from the rain, for a moment you can see the fans make their way up the stands and under as much cover as they can get. On to the second half here in the Cayman Islands, and it has become disastrously rainy. Guadeloupe 3, Cayman Islands 0 as we head into the second half. The first leg of this play-in tie. Oh, wow. It has gotten really rough now. 80 degrees. It says light rain showers. That's a bit of a misnomer. There's good news. By the time the fans leave, the rain should actually push off, but that does these players no favors. You see the halftime substitutes emanating from the scoreboard. Ball through. Nunez goes down! Adonai Escobedo says there was no foul. This is an absolute deluge. The fact the field has sustained as well as it has, pretty miraculous, truth be told. Rolled back Lambert. Young kid with the responsibility to provide the additional ball, just tried to dribble it in the puddle. That did not work out well. You know, it reminds me a bit of the United States going to Trinidad and Tobago in World Cup qualifying ahead of the Russia World Cup. Players being carried through the puddles rather than walking through them. This track is about to suffer a very similar outcome, I think, to that of the stadium in Trinidad and Tobago at this rate. Cayman Islands have certainly brought a different measure the second half thus far. That is a free kick for the Cayman Islands, and the first yellow card issued in this game. And the second, Nunez received the yellow in the 23rd, the Cayman Islands. You'd say that's probably a bit harsh on Phaeton. What a yellow card nevertheless. It's been raining, but it's not quite been this harsh a rain yet. So Seymour lights this up. Colnard is going to have to be really sure-handed. And the players for the Cayman Islands going to be facing the wrong way. This ball toward goal, whistles wide from Seymour. Racing through. Mirval! Mirval! The outside of the netting.
There was a substitution for the Cayman Islands. Number 14 and number 21 came off for 22 and 6. Okay, my paper is soaked.
Here's the halftime substitutes there. Cayman Islands using the first two exchanges of the game. Called hundreds of Concacaf games. I can't ever remember this brutal rain falling in any of them. You think about how this affects the final 40 minutes. If you're the Cayman Islands, any margin for error is gone. 3 road goals to Guadeloupe. You play there on Tuesday. Absolutely have to have it. A second half clean sheet, probably a necessity, probably a goal or two as well. Ball chipped through. Back across the face of goal. Now the turf's starting to come up in chunks. This is a throw. If you're Guadeloupe and you're Jocelyn Gloma, your manager, come out unscathed is probably the focus now. And hung on the end line. Wafted high. Barron went for goal. I mean, physically get through this in good shape. Neither of these teams will play a competitive match again until June. Nothing doing there. Case of the Cayman Islands, Bermuda, and Honduras in World Cup qualifying. Honduras will be playing on this field in mid-June. In case of Guadeloupe, they may well be turning their attention to the upcoming Gold Cup next summer. They do not have a chance at World Cup qualification as an overseas department of France. So this really is far as they can dream. That might be a bit of a statement for Guadeloupe that they're preparing a double sub here in a moment. There's an element, if you handle this business the right way, that the job is already done this first leg. 3 goals. As hopeful as he could have been. Till. Ooh. Cascading out of the rapids. Till. Angling. Phaeton. Ball through. Till. You know, the other event that comes to mind is the Concacaf W Championship in San Diego. Canada and the United States, ball just seemingly plopping on water throughout that game. Robbed it of any great competitive vigor. I mean, the track's completely flooded. That AR shoes are going to be an expense. And yeah, you can see it, the ball's just flopping on the ground now. And while the issue may have been the inflation in the first half, or deflation, I suppose, you can see this is going to be a real slog the next 35 minutes. Difficult to play a game of this magnitude under conditions like this. Campbell, the older brother of Joshua, who scored the winner in that June World Cup qualifying win over Antigua and Barbuda. Will flick back. It's met by the Cayman Islands. But they get upfield with any kind of speed. Nunez. The ball remains down. So bounce all the way through. Sent toward goal. Handled by Conard. Ball knocked down. It's going to be one of those days now. Sub coming. That ball landed and just died. Thought he was through. And Mirval's not quite so lucky. Come to changes, so Mirval may well see his number in a moment. It'll be Phaeton and Plumain come off at this stage. Phaeton was on a yellow card. Plumain scored the 3rd goal. Mixter Kenny on for Phaeton. And Kevin Beaumont on, it appears, for Plumain. That is ankle deep. That is brutal. You wonder what's going on here. The Assistant referee has just gone toward the stands. This rain is going to be persistent for another hour in Georgetown. Is there more lonely place as a footballer in all the planet than standing in ankle-deep water with a 3-goal lead? Well, same situation with a 3-goal deficit, I suppose. You wonder what this group of officials are chatting about. All four hail from Mexico. And all four experienced on the Concacaf stage previously. Truman hasn't left the field. Makes you wonder what's going on with that card. Whether they got that substitution right. Barron, the captain, has joined. All the gaps that are starting to appear in the field are now completely filled with water. Les Zornshart, he's standing there alongside the floating piece of carpet. It floats! There's a ball in the river. I thought that was only a thing in Kansas City. They might be calling this. Yeah, they're bringing everybody off. So the rain has so inundated the field that the ball can no longer hit the ground without propping up on the water. And they have halted the match 62 minutes in. The ball was last played in the 59th minute. And this is a fairly extreme rarity. The field became unplayable in a 15-minute span, but that is precisely what's occurred. This one's a little bit of CONCACAF history here. So there you can see on the right side of your screen, there is a drainage system that has been completely overwhelmed by the constant rain, which started long before this match began, but really poured about 5 minutes into the second half. You can see the players in ankle-deep water going off into the dressing room at this point. Now, this is a two-legged affair. There is, of course, an element of the fact that a forfeited match is a 3-0 defeat, which is precisely the margin that Guadeloupe currently holds in this match with 3 road goals. Although this is an act of God, not an instance in which a forfeit would be required. And perhaps equally important, the prize at the end of this, while you'd love for this to stay within this international window, the prelims are next summer. So it's not that there's a substantive necessity that they get this done right now. The second leg of this fixture is set to be on November 19th in Guadeloupe. But right now in Grand Cayman, the rain has poured so substantially that the near touchline has been made entirely unplayable. So the real question at this stage is, as the fans start to wander out, will they finish this match later tonight, or wait till tomorrow, or is this an instance where the Cayman Islands contemplate a 3-0 forfeit instead? Waiting for a measure of official confirmation from the folks at Concacaf right now. So for those who are joining merely because they found out about this flooded pitch and wanted to see it for themselves, it is true. This match did begin in the second half under continued rain. However, about 5 minutes into the second half, the rain began far more consistent and heavy. Ultimately, it started to cause flooding on the touchline, which left Guadeloupe players as they exited the field complaining to the fourth official. Then called over the AR, who himself was standing in ankle-deep water waiting for a throw-in to restart the game. Eventually, the referee came over, dropped the ball in the water, showed that it was floating, and said that the pitch had become unplayable as a result. The goals in this game, all for Guadeloupe, scored by Raphael Mirval in the 12th minute, then Jordan Lebornier, gorgeous goal in the 37th. And then Ange Plumain scored in the 41st minute. All road goals, which carry that little added value going into the second leg, which is due to be played early next week. Now there is another match to be played in this play-in tournament here tonight. Barbados is hosting Guyana in about an hour and a half. And 2 matches have already occurred, having played their first legs in St. Kitts and Nevis against Cuba. 2-1 win for St. Kitts and Nevis. Sawyers and Burley the goals. Paradella scored a gorgeous 40th minute goal to get Cuba that valuable road goal. And French Guyana stole a road goal at the very end against Belize. But Bernardes scores a penalty. Martinez in the 75th. For Marvin Torvik scored at 90+3 to provide French Guyana a path forward, taking a road goal away from Belmont Pond. Well, you can see the flooding now has actually entered the central areas of the pitch, where previously it sort of existed within the grass where the ball would land on it and just sort of lose all of its inertia. You did not see giant puddles forming as it is now. And so while the first 5 minutes or so of this second half provided so much water that the touchlines became inundated, what we're seeing now is the existence of substantive flooding in the middle of the field. And that, of course, has ground this to a stop. If you peek at a radar, it does not give you a lot of optimism here in Grand Cayman. If I'm doing the math right, I'm not so sure we're going to be playing this in the next hour and a half or so. I'm no meteorologist, but yellow and orange and the occasional splotch of red on the radar, typically not a great sign. And over the course of the next hour, this is just going to see a massive system park itself for at least the next hour, which should cause some concern about the viability of continuing this match today, because even once the water stops pouring out of the sky, it's still going to be inches of rain that have poured onto this surface here at the Truman Bodden Stadium in Georgetown. So the Cayman Islands, who had a pretty miraculous finish, needed a number of results on the final day of League C to find their way to this point, not the least of which their own. Goal difference becoming substantive. Ultimately, that hope extinguished less than 15 minutes in, and has not improved all that much, as it turned out, as this game has entered a delay due to the constant deluge of rain that's been coming down for the past half hour or so. Before that, it was spotty rain throughout the day, but simply the field could not withstand the amount of rain that's come down here of late. It's only the second meeting between these two teams, and the last was 16 years ago in Guadeloupe. That was a 7-1 victory for the then home side. Mary Hanani scoring a brace. Antoine Courrier scoring a hat trick in that game. It's a Caribbean Cup qualifier for the 2009 Gold Cup group stage game back then. And this is meant to be 180 minutes over the two legs. With this first leg in Grand Cayman and then the second leg in Guadeloupe on the 19th. But, whether or not we'll be able to continue today remains a mystery as we continue to wait for Concacaf to provide guidance as to what happens next here. So to recap what's occurred here over the past 20 minutes or so at the Truman Bodden Stadium in Georgetown, there was a persistent rain that occurred throughout the first half of the day, which continued through the first half of this game. Ultimately, with the rain pouring down, you could see some puddles beginning to form on the track in the first half. By the time the second half began, the rain had continued, a brief respite of sunshine, and then a substantial rainstorm picked up shortly thereafter, which inundated the near touchline, has completely flooded the surrounding track, and has now created massive puddles in the middle of the field that's deemed unplayable by the referee. So, a lifeline handed to the commentator, the ability to allow you to listen to what many people actually pay a lot of money for these days, a relaxation app of sorts. You can listen to the falling rain in Georgetown, because this game remains in delay due to weather, and as we have further updates, we will provide them. It is 61 minutes on the clock, 57 minutes of action played. Guadeloupe 3, Cayman Islands 0. Updates to come from Georgetown. We welcome you back to Georgetown and the Concacaf Nations League play-in. This is probably a perfectly adequate way of describing what the last hour and a half has looked like here. A combination of ad boards and squeegees being utilized to try and take as much water off the surface as possible. The rain is actually set to become worse in about 30 minutes time. Luckily, in theory, there's about 30 minutes remaining in this game. There was due to be a throw-in down on the right-hand end of the field, and the assistant referee was ankle deep in water. They actually placed the ball on the ground and it floated, at which point the referee halted the game. We are scheduled to begin again here in about a minute's time, with the clock at 61:30. There will be a minimum of 4 minutes of added time purely because the ball hadn't been kicked since the 58th minute. Adonai Escobedo just took a look at his watch, dispatched the AR. And with Guadeloupe leading 3-0, in the great wisdom of CONCACAF, we will continue to play through what is a horrifying deluge of constant water being poured from the sky onto this field. An absolutely stunning amount of rain came down about 5 minutes into the second half. It looked perhaps like we would have been in the clear, but alas, not the case. I have called 360 games in CONCACAF and never seen anything like this. The Guadeloupe coaches are currently making their way back to the bench. The fans here in the Cayman Islands trying to provide a measure of excitement to the proceedings. That is 5:45. The match commissioner says we may resume. And after over an hour, the throw-in is in, and the ball lands on the end line and stops moving in a puddle. I mean, ball lobbed into the penalty area and snapped away. Now, it's a two-legged tie. There's huge competitive complications. If this were a friendly, it would already be over. With the nature of this being two-legged, this hit from a long way out and will skip wide. You can understand why they're playing out the string in this game. However, Guadeloupe leads 3-0. They are all road goals, which do count for more in the play-in round. And so the Cayman Islands come out of the locker room with a couple objectives here. Cannot concede again. Absolutely cannot concede again. The road goal margin as it is, brutal. I mean, what are we doing? Ball touched ahead by Till. The 3 goals away make it borderline impossible for the Cayman Islands to come back as it is. They would need at least a 3-0 shutout victory or 4 more goals in a 3-goal win. But the path remains. If you can score a goal or 2 here and make this a realistic comeback, that's a different story. If this were to end 3-2, 2-0, a lot more likely than 3-0 or 4-1, it provides a path. And so the Cayman Islands exit the locker room where not only do they need to keep the sheet clean for the last half hour, but they simply need to get something. For Guadeloupe, it is a combination of recognizing you have another leg here. The slick conditions as they are, no rash tackles. you're up 3-0, handle your business would be the best way to describe it. Till from distance scores. Guadeloupe has their fourth. Proves that there was, in fact, a reason that they came back out of the locker room after all. 4-0 Guadeloupe. Concacaf Till had created a handful of chances in the first half. Finally, he's got his now. And 4-0 for Guadeloupe as they perhaps fire the final nail into the Cayman coffin. Johan Angloma comes in off the bench. Mission accomplished, I suppose, at this stage for Guadeloupe. Throw incoming for the Cayman Islands. If they score nothing here, they'll need at least 4. Really steep mountain to climb. Nearly some friendly fire on that tackle from Jordan Bonilla Ramirez. In behind here, Guadeloupe seeking more. Trying to angle that back. Chipped off target. Medellina off the mark. When you think about the nature of Nations League C, the lower sided teams in Nations League A, I'm confident there are financial implications to playing out the string in this game. I struggle with the fact that the level of play here, frustratingly poor in these conditions. It's a big ask. Picked up by Conard. So the last meeting between these two teams, about 16 years ago, finished 7-1. Guadeloupe 4-0 up now. Ball sent in over the top. Conard. And there is truly no good sporting merit in declaring a forfeit either. You know, the 3-0 margin was what the teams left at 60 minutes, but you would think this would be offside. Flags down there. You can see Zoran asking why it never went up. Till. Senville. The marauding outside back. Is this through for Nunez? Nunez goes down. It seemed to be more the field than the challenge, apparently. Barron. Owens get knocked off. Barron. Oh, clever back heel flick on. Zoran is there. Sends the cross, knocked in. That is gorgeous stuff from Guadeloupe. Unbelievable. Kenny the finish. 5-0. A regrettable goal celebration from Kenny at the conclusion, but unbelievable build-up to that point. Fantastic from Guadeloupe. 5-0 ahead. And they have absolutely stymied the Cayman Islands' dream run. Robinson couldn't claim it for the Cayman Islands. Look, immense credit, truly, to the staff here at the Truman Bodden Stadium for managing to get as much water off this field as they could. But you see it starting to come apart a bit. Ball lobbed into space. The chance is there. Met by Conard. Denies Nunez. Who's certainly been racing out of the stoppage. Till. Owens. Till once more. Lena. Double sub for Guadeloupe. This will complete their full list. Dizak and Gideon coming in off the bench. That's it for Till. Finally got his goal, 64th minute. along with the captain, Anthony Barron, who came out of that break and saw out the remainder of this by helping to tack on 2 goals. Sub for the Cayman Islands. That's it for Elijah Seymour. Here is Jaden McField. Their 4th substitute. Ball angled back. Decent save, slapped aside by Conard to retain the clean sheet. Sebastian Martinez waited back on that, and Conard with his best save of the game thus far. If you're Guadeloupe, you have no interest in providing a hope, even a glimmer, before this transfers back to Guadeloupe early next week. Comes exploding out of the puddle. Suddenly the numbers are good, but the whistle's blown. Settling top of the 18, away from Kenny. Settles for Mirval. Awkward tackle there. Yeah, that'll stay in. Speared away by Conard. Free kick from Tibbetts. Kenny. Gets out. Ball angled across. Speared out by Kenny. His recent goal in this game. That's, again, an instance of Conard being quite confident with the ball at his feet. Ball whistled above. Lambert goes soaring for it. It's out of play. Kenny. Soran brought it down. Dizak. Owen. Shuffling through. Gideon. Owen's there now. The corner. You can see Owens taking a moment. Dizak with it, the near post. Campbell. Credit to the players wanting to come out and finish this. For the Cayman Islands, surely they came out of the locker room with ambition. Got Nunez through a couple times. Maybe they could have grabbed a goal or two back. Lessen the mountain they have to climb next week. It is scheduled to rain in Guadeloupe as well. Nunez trying to chase this down. That's a foul. There were 100 ways the Cayman Islands probably thought that this game was going to go, and none of them included this torrent of rain. And I'd imagine they probably didn't think 5 was all that possible either. Can be a cruel, cruel game. Nunez. Slides off Medellina. Herval, LeBournier, Plumaine, Till, and Kenny for Guadeloupe. Tibbetts. Beaumont wins it back. Ball hung over the penalty area, snapped directly at the keeper, Lambert. Gideon really got up for that, put a ton of pace on it, but right in Lambert's chest. Header backward and into the net. An own goal for the Cayman Islands in the 89th minute adds to their misery on this rainy night in Georgetown. As if the dagger hadn't already been inserted, Owens would put so much effort into this game. You can see his exhaustion creeping in. 89th minute. And that is 6 for Guadeloupe. Cayman Islands never stopped. They just kept coming with wave after wave of counterattacking out of the break. They really did give it their best. But this scoreline, the same gaudy 6-goal margin of 16 years ago when these teams last met. It was 7-1 then. It is 6-0 now. It's a foul from Alexander. That is it. It is full time. Guadeloupe on this rain-soaked night in Georgetown have accomplished a 6-goal victory in the first leg of this series with the Cayman Islands. Over an hour-long delay due to a deluge of rain that absolutely inundated the field surface. It was 3-0 going in, 3 more coming out of that intermission. A 6-0 win, 6 road goals for Guadeloupe, and they'll head back home looking to simply see out their second match against the Cayman Islands and earn their place into the prelims at the upcoming Concacaf Gold Cup. The final score at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex in Georgetown, Guadeloupe 6, the Cayman Islands 0. Kickoff between the Cayman Islands and Guadeloupe. Hardly much rain in the early going of the day, but a wonderful day for scoring for this Guadeloupe side on Grand Cayman. The opening goal came from Mirval in the 12th minute of play, and it would just continue to pour on. This off the mark from Truman. Finding the width until he'd be denied here, but eventually would find a goal in this game. Ball lofted into space. Mirval laying off. Second goal was a brilliant one from Le Bornier in the 37th. So robbed by the offside flag on their opening goal. They found themselves 2-0 up in the 37th minute, ahead to the 41st minute. Header knocked down across the face and steered home by Truman. And Guadeloupe 3-0 ahead at halftime. All road goals, certainly valuable for the Guada boys. Chance for the Cayman Islands to get one before the break. Ultimately, Nunez follow goes above. Then we'd have the 15-minute layoff, followed by an hour-long stoppage as you see the puddles begin to form going into the second half. Shortly out of that break, about 3 minutes after the teams returned, Vakesh Till in the 64th. Ahead to the 71st minute. Brilliant work from Till, truly. Finds Zoran and touched home for goal number 5, Mixtor Kenny. It's a runaway. The Cayman Islands never stopped their efforts like the water. It never receded. Sebastian Martinez denied by Conard. And then Owens, back set header, would sneak inside the post. An own goal in the 89th minute. And it would finish 6-0. Well, these teams will see each other again on November the 19th as they will continue play Tuesday night for the second leg. It's 6-0. Guadeloupe had 2/3 of the ball in the first half. That number began to oscillate a bit lower as the second half went on with the nonstop rain and the 3-goal lead for that matter. Guadeloupe's 6-row goals are certainly in position now in the play-in to reach the Concacaf Nations League play-in's ultimate prize, a place in the Gold Cup prelims. Until Tuesday, for our entire team in Georgetown and beyond, Mike Watts saying thanks for watching and so long from Grand Cayman. Good night.